Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Person of interest in shooting death of 17-year-old girl turns himself in. Family of former journalist Haley Clacken still awaiting trial after 5 years. And later in sports, reggae girl squad announced for final round of World Cup qualifiers. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. One of the two persons of interest named in connection with the shooting death of a 17-year-old student in Denhamtown, Kingston on Sunday is now in police custody. The man surrendered to the Denhamtown police last evening. This was disclosed by head of the Kingston Western Police, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, who told our news center that the man in custody is the uncle of a teenager being sought for questioning. He said the man is now being interviewed by detectives about the circumstances which led to the murder of 17-year-old Devenice Nelson. The teenage girl, who was a student of Denhamtown High, was found dead on Sunday in an apartment occupied by her child's father and his uncle. She died from a bullet wound to the head. A St. Elizabeth family is still in mourning 5 years after their relative who had bipolar disorder was killed by a security guard. As we hear in this report from Herman Green, the family of Haley Clacken say they are frustrated with the justice system.
5 years and still no trial. Why? That's the question being asked by the family of Haley Clacken, a former teacher and journalist who was shot and killed in St. Elizabeth in 2017. The family recently took to the streets in protest, calling for justice and answers from those in authority. Mr. Clacken taught at Monroe College and Hampton School for Girls and also worked with a Gleaner before falling ill with bipolar disorder. It's understood that due to his illness, he climbed onto an armored truck in the parish on June 23, 2017 and was shot by a guard. The guard, Sean Cole, has since been charged with murder.
I am literally in mourning. 1,826 days my son is dead. I count every single day that he's not here with me.
Mother of the deceased, Lilith Clacken, says the case has been called for mention several times in the Black River Parish Court, however, has been postponed repeatedly.
Sometimes the defense lawyer has another case, even though this is a murder case in the Black River Courthouse. So there have been several reasons cited.
Mrs. Clacken says the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic was also used as what she termed an excuse to further postpone the case.
The last court date called up was in February, and they put it off again for November 30. I really want some closure, and I think I deserve justice. After 5 years, my son has been dead. There has still not been a trial. I hold the Jamaica justice system responsible.
He didn't deserve to die like that, and we need better from our justice system.
In the meantime, Haley's father, Balford Clacken, is calling for the government to do an analysis of the crime situation and the process for justice.
We can't be having hundreds of killings and vicious crimes, and the justice system is creeping and crawling. We're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere when we allow little things to happen and to delay and the twists and the turns. We need to put a system in place to address the issues at hand so that we can progress and people can have confidence that justice will be done. Because even the accused, if I was accused of something and I know I didn't do it, hey, I want my day in court quick so I can go free myself and get on with my life.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
And in a TVJ News follow-up, a judge has dismissed the case involving TVJ Videographer, who was arrested on nomination day, August 11, 2020. Milton Reed was arrested and charged as he carried out his job recording proceedings inside a nomination center as candidates were nominated for the September 3 election. He was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer. The case has been called up and put off several times since then. On the last occasion prior to today, Mr. Reed's attorney made a no-case submission to the court. The judge today upheld the no-case submission, ruling that based on the inconsistencies and discrepancies in the Crown's case, the matter could not be allowed to go forward. Hanging in the balance, That's our opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, is describing the state of the lives of many Jamaicans in light of a rising cost of living. And high on the list is the prolonged rollout of the gas relief grants announced in March. Jamila Maitland reports.
It's been almost 3 months since Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced the $2 billion relief program to help absorb the high gas and energy prices amid the Ukraine-Russia invasion. But since then, things have become progressively harder for some Jamaicans. It's why opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, argued that the government is simply out of touch.
The minister said, well, next week, can start applying and hopefully in July. That's all right. Every single week, the price go up by $4.50. And then when it come down by 25 cents.
Public passenger vehicle operators can now register on the government's WeCare website to access the state's assistance, which is about $25,000 per grant. But aside from the grant, Mr. Robinson, who was speaking at a People's National Party meeting, says there are many Jamaicans who cannot afford the rising food prices.
When we hear price increases, sometimes we don't look and understand the impact it really has. And I'm putting this on the table because if you would have $1,000 last year for go and shop, for buy some of these things, what you could buy last year, you can only buy half of it this year.
Of concern, too, was crime and the investment in education.
We need more police and soldiers. We need to improve their capabilities. We need to improve the technology because we know witnesses don't come forward because they're afraid. So we need more cameras. We need to improve the capability of the DPP so that you can have proper cases when they come to court and the Chief Justice don't have to throw them out. But most importantly, comrades, we have to invest in our people so that less and less young people view crime as a way of life.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us. Much more when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Managing Director at the Transport Authority, Willard Hilton, has withdrawn his resignation. This after several workers and taxi operators took industrial action last week when he tendered the resignation. It's understood that members of a board at the state-run entity had a meeting on Monday where a unanimous decision was made for Mr. Hilton to rescind his resignation.
That paves the way for a 5-member committee to be set up, committee of the board to be set up to look at and to find a way to iron out the issues that have led to me submitting my resignation. I have agreed. I have every confidence that the board understands my position and will act. And I will just add by saying failure of the board to deal with these issues will leave me with no choice but to reconsider my position. But I am quite optimistic that based on what has come to the board, it will definitely find a way to resolve these issues.
And workers have been reacting to the news of Mr. Hilton's resignation withdrawal.
The staff of the Transport Authority is very elated and happy to have Mr. Willard Hilton back at the helm of the organization where he truly belongs. And we, the staff, will stand behind Mr. Hilton wholeheartedly and with 100%. Welcome back, Sir Hilton.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says discussions continue to take place about the future of the Bellevue Hospital in Kingston. Speaking to TVJ News recently, Dr. Tufton explained that the team is still looking at the role and purpose of Jamaica's main mental health institution. This, as based on a 2016 report, there are several challenges at the facility.
Bellevue has evolved into an infirmary, unfortunately, where most of its patients could have been discharged but have nowhere to go. One of the discussions is around how we separate those who are infirmed from those who really need mental health. how we deal with those cases more in the community as opposed to in the institution itself, and whether or not Bellevue as a name and a location is relevant for the current dispensation. It may require some fundamental changes, but that conversation is now taking place.
A Sentan family is in need of help to get treatment for their son. The young boy has a rare condition that requires therapy in order for him to at least walk. Shamela Pullen reports.
Meet 8-year-old Andrew Lloyd Jr. from Monique St. Anne. Andrew Jr. has been battling a rare medical condition from birth known as Ohtahara syndrome. This is an uncommon type of epilepsy characterized by hard-to-control seizures and developmental delays. His father, Andrew Sr., says days after he was born, they noticed that little Andrew was having seizures and jaundice. So they took him to see a medical doctor, who then referred the family to the University Hospital of the West Indies, where tests were done. But not satisfied with the results they were getting, the parents decided to do their own research. So that's when they got in touch with a medical facility overseas for help.
In 2016, while we were still going to the University Hospital, we decided that we wanted to go to the Johns Hopkins Hospital, where he was re-diagnosed with Ohtahara syndrome. And we did the genetics test on him, which showed that he had chromosome 16 microdeletion. That was the actual cause for him being the way he is, not being able to walk or talk, having seizures, and not being able to chew properly.
However, the concerned parents were reassured that with intense therapy, their son would be able to at least walk someday. But due to financial constraints, the family was unable to get the therapy needed. It's been years now, and the parents say their son's condition continues to worsen.
We reached out to Napa Center, that's in Boston, Massachusetts. And when we had reached out, we sent in some documents. We told them about his diagnosis, what he was not being able to do and stuff like that. And based on what I told them, we started to correspond with the manager. So she told us, this is the cost, how soon can you get into the country, etc.
While the hospital is willing to offset the cost for treatment, the family says help is needed for other expenses, including airfare and accommodation.
We are just saying to you Jamaicans out there, please help AJ to get this much needed help that he needs, because when he gets this treatment, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he will improve massively, and we know for sure that he will get up and walk.
If you are willing to assist the family, you can send donations to Kingdom Builders Worship Center International Ministry, JMMB Bank, Knutsford Boulevard Branch, account number 000-300-212235. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cordian Barrett.
In the world of business, Access Financial Services saw increased profit for the year ended March 2022. Post-tax earnings were $438 million, or 65% higher than in 2021 when the company made $266 million. Access Financial's total income grew by $159 million to $1.98 billion. The company says the improved performance resulted from growth in net interest margins and improved recoveries on bad debt. And in business internationally, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson signaled on Monday that parts of the post-Brexit trade deal he signed with the European Union could become law by the end of the year. Lawmakers began debating legislation that rewrites trade rules for Northern Ireland on Monday, the first step on what could be a rocky journey through Parliament. If approved by lawmakers, the legislation would remove checks on goods entering Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom, thereby scrapping parts of a trade treaty that Johnson signed before Britain left the EU in 2020. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cordian Barrett.
Time now for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, in Guyana, scores of residents have blocked the Golden Grove East Coast Demerara Road to protest against the release of a policeman who allegedly shot and killed a resident several days ago. Quindon Bacchus was shot several times and killed on June 10. There have been two accounts. One, that Bacchus attempted to sell the undercover policeman a handgun, and the other that the two had a previous misunderstanding. Media reports said that the police were forced to beat a hasty retreat by angry residents who blocked the road at several points with old wooden stalls, wooden planks, posts, and concrete objects. According to the Guyana police, the lawman in question is under open arrest and is confined to the police headquarters. The matter is still under investigation.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jermaine Brown will have your midday sports report.
Welcome back. It's time now for your lunchtime sports. Manchester City's Khadija Bonnie Shaw heads the 24-member senior reggae girls squad selected for the CONCACAF Women's Championship in Mexico. Head coach Lon Donaldson had called up 26 players to a hasty 1.5-week pre-tournament camp in Colorado in the United States. Other notable inclusions are Jodie Brown, Trudy Carter, Havana Salon, Denisha Blackwood, Alison Swaby, Sashana Campbell, Rebecca Spencer, and Sydney Schneider. The Reggae Girls are drawn in Group A and will take on Mexico on July 4, then World Cup champions, the United States on July 7, and then Haiti on July 11. The top two teams in both groups will qualify for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, while the third-placed teams will advance to the intercontinental playoff for a place in the tournament to be played in Australia and New Zealand. Now, at least one boxing stakeholder believes the Gloves Over Guns initiative and the sport on a whole can help curtail the crime situation in Jamaica. Sugar Knockout Boxing Gym President Lindell Sugar Wallace says the community of Olympic Gardens, where the gym is located, has been relatively crime-free as the sport is flourishing.
That thing what keep down crime. You understand? And if you take notes about the place, Spanish Town, Trench Town, August Town, one and two of them town there, a beer war. And we're glad to say right now, no war in an Olympic Garden and Cockburn Pen right now.
Meanwhile, President of the Jamaica Boxing Board of Control, Stephen Bomber-Jones, says the Gloves Over Guns initiative will be rotated.
Stephen Bomber-Jones says the gyms will be rotated within the communities.
Bay had boxers from GC Foster, had boxers from Stanley Couch. So we want to rotate, go to Parade Gardens, have the show there, go back to Montego Bay, which we're doing in November, and go to GC Foster and invite Olympic Garden boxers to come out to the Gloves Over Guns Invitational.
They were speaking at the...
And Wallace were speaking at the recent Gloves Over Guns Fight Night held recently. In cricket, Jamaica's Rovman Powell has been officially announced as the West Indies' new vice-captain for the T20 squad. Powell, along with fellow Jamaicans Brandon King and Dean Smith, have been included in the West Indies' 13-man squad for the 3 T20 internationals against Bangladesh, set for July 2 and 3 at Windsor Park in Dominica and on July 7 at the Guyana National Stadium. The squad, to be led by Nicholas Ferran, also sees the return of pacer Abed McCoy from injury. Powell and King have also been included in the 13-man ODI squad, which sees recalls for Devon Thomas and Guyanese all-rounder Keema Paul. There is also a first-time call-up for Guyanese left-arm spinner Gudakesh Moti. Paran will also lead the ODI squad, with Shea Hope his deputy. The teams will battle in the ODI matches on July 10, 13 and 16 at the Guyana National Stadium. And that's where we pull up stumps for now, and I am Jermaine Brown.
Thanks, Jermaine. And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Prime Time News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.